There are professions that have no name in the collective imagination, jobs that are never mentioned at family dinners, never taught in schools. They are not the dream of a child, nor the ambition of a young person. They are silent professions, buried in anonymity, but without which our world, as we know it, would simply stop. This is not the story of a CEO, a movie star, or an influencer. This is the story of a man who holds the pulse of the planet in his hands. A man who stitches together the invisible arteries through which our digital age flows. A man who works in the deepest darkness so that we can live in the light. This is the story of Javier and the profession that makes him an essential ghost. The submarine cable splicer. The call in the night. Javier's life, on the surface, is like anyone else's. A home in a northern coastal city where the wind always carries the smell of salt and iodine. A wife, Elena, whose face is the map of their shared life, with wrinkles that tell stories of waiting and reunions. And a daughter, Sophia, 10 years old, who has her mother's contagious laugh and her father's curious eyes, those eyes that always seem to be searching for something beyond the horizon. On nights like this, Javier's world is small, and it is perfect. It is reduced to the walls of his house, the warmth of his family, the smell of a freshly cooked dinner. The television murmurs in the background, some cooking show that Elena watches while finishing cleaning the kitchen. Sophia is on the couch, her math notebooks scattered around, struggling with a division that won't come out right. Javier sits beside her, explains patiently, draws circles and lines on a piece of paper. The girl understands, smiles, and in that instant, Javier is just a father. Just a man who helps with homework, who listens to stories from school, who worries about whether the heating works properly. A man anchored to a reassuring routine, to a tangible present. Here, on solid ground, Javier is invisible in another way. He is one among millions, a face in the crowd. No one, seeing him at the supermarket or the gas station, would imagine that his hands have touched the heart of the modern world, that he has descended, metaphorically, to depths that most people cannot even conceive. But there is another world, a world that always waits, patient, beneath the surface. And when that world calls, everything else must stop. The vibration of the phone is a code that only they understand. It is not a call from a friend, nor from a family member. It is a call from the ocean. The mobile phone vibrates on the wooden table, insistent, like an urgent heartbeat. Elena looks up from the kitchen. Her eyes meet Javier's. There is no surprise in her gaze, only a resignation tinged with pride and a hint of fear that never completely disappears. Sophia, though small, also feels it. The air in the room changes, becomes denser, heavier. It is as if the sea itself had entered the house, claiming what is its own. Javier answers. His voice is calm, professional. On the other end, a voice with a British accent speaks to him about wavelengths, signal loss, coordinates in the middle of nowhere. A failure in the TAT-14 cable. one of the great data highways connecting North America with Europe. Thousands of gigabits per second of information, suddenly, in silence. A small heart attack in the heart of the global network. Companies losing millions per hour. Hospitals unable to access medical records. Families separated by oceans, unable to see each other. There are no questions. Only silent acceptance. The work suitcase, always ready in a corner of the closet, seems to call him. It is a suitcase that smells of salt, metal, and long absences. Inside, thermal clothing, boots with non-slip soles, a book he never finishes reading, photos of his family in a plastic envelope to protect them from moisture. The goodbye is a ritual perfected over the years. There are no great dramas, only gestures loaded with meaning. Elena's embrace, longer than normal, where she transmits strength and asks him, without words, to return safe and sound. She knows the dangers, the storms that can capsize a ship, the 20-meter waves, the accidents on deck. But she also knows Javier's need, that call of the sea that has been in his blood since he was a boy who dreamed of distant horizons, and Sophia's embrace, who clings to his neck with a strength disproportionate to her size, and hands him a carefully folded piece of paper. "So, you won't feel lonely, Dad," she whispers in his ear. Javier keeps it in the inside pocket of his jacket, next to his heart. He knows what it is without needing to look at it. A drawing of the three of them, under a smiling sun, with a red-roofed house and a tree with apples. A perfect world, drawn with the innocence of someone who doesn't know that her father is about to leave to repair the nervous system of the planet. As he closes the door of his house, Javier leaves behind his life on land. He becomes, once again, the man who descends to the depths to mend the veins of the world, to the iron beast. The port at night is a place of transition, a limbo between land and sea, and there, under the orange lights that pierce the darkness like beacons from another time, awaits his second home, the René Descartes. It is not just any ship. It is an iron beast, a floating hospital for the arteries of the internet, with its nearly 150 meters in length, its cranes that rise like Titan arms, and its enormous cable drums that can store hundreds of kilometers of fiber optic cable. It is a fortress designed for a single mission: to fight against silence. The ship is lit up like a miniature city. From a distance, it seems almost beautiful, but up close, its true nature is revealed: functional, industrial, with no concessions to aesthetics. Every inch has a purpose. Every tool, every crane, every winch is a piece of a puzzle designed to face one of the most hostile environments on the planet. As he climbs the gangway, the smell of home disappears, replaced by the penetrating smell of diesel, steel, and the sea. The crew greets him with a nod. They are men of few words, of different nationalities, united by a bond that is only forged in the isolation of the ocean. There is a Frenchman, a Filipino, 2 Norwegians, a Brazilian. Each one is a specialist. Telecommunications engineers, ROV operators, sailors expert in high-precision maneuvers. They are a brotherhood of the invisible. Each one is a key piece in a high-precision gear. Javier is not the captain, but at the heart of the operation, his authority is indisputable. He is the jointer, the splicer, the surgeon, the man whose hands are capable of joining glass filaments thinner than a human hair in the middle of a raging ocean. His experience is his credential. 25 years in this profession. He has seen everything. Cables broken by earthquakes, by anchors, by underwater landslides. He has worked under the scorching sun of the equator and under the snow of the Arctic. He has saved connections worth billions of dollars. The ship sets sail at dawn. The city lights become smaller and smaller until they become a mere flicker on the horizon. Solid ground, with its certainties and routines, dissolves into the black immensity of the Atlantic. The journey begins toward the exact point of the failure, an abstract point on a digital map, a place that means nothing to anyone except to them, a place where the world has broken and they are the only ones who can fix it. During the first few days, life on the ship is a mixture of routine and anticipation. Meals in the dining room, where languages and accents mix. Equipment checks. Meetings in the control room, where bathymetric maps are studied, sensor data analyzed, every step of the operation planned. Javier checks his tools over and over again. The precision pliers, the diamond cutters, the fiber optic fusion splicer. Each one is an extension of his body, and they must be perfect. At night, in his cabin, a metal cube with a bunk, a tiny desk, and a window that looks out onto infinity, Javier thinks about his family. He wonders what Sophia is doing, if she has finished her homework, if Elena has had dinner alone, in front of the television, with that silence that is only filled by his absence. 3. The hunt in the abyss. 4 days have passed. 4 days sailing in a silence, broken only by the ship's engine and the roar of the wind. Now, they are over the point of the failure. Around them there is only an infinite expanse of gray water and leaden sky that merge on the horizon. Below them, at 4,000 meters deep, lies the wounded cable. 4 kilometers. The height of 10 Empire State Buildings, one on top of the other. A distance that crushes, that darkens, that turns any mistake into a catastrophe. The hunt begins. In the control room, the atmosphere is that of an operating room before open-heart surgery. The screens show data, maps of the seabed, pressure readings, and in the center of it all, the images sent by the ROV, the remotely operated vehicle. They call it Hector, a robotic submarine the size of a van, with articulated arms, high-definition cameras, and lights capable of piercing the abyssal darkness. It is their eyes and hands on the ocean floor. Hector descends slowly, a metal beast entering an alien world. A world of absolute silence, of pressure that could crush a car like a soda can, of cold that freezes the soul. For hours, it combs the seabed, following the trail of the cable, which is often buried under sediment, invisible to the naked eye. Javier watches the screens with total concentration. His experience allows him to read the terrain, to intuit where the problem might be. He sees the undulations of the bottom, the rocks, the sandy areas. He remembers his first time, more than 20 years ago. The panic, the feeling of looking for a needle in a haystack of continental dimensions, the fear of failing, of disappointing. Now, there is calm, a patience forged in hundreds of repairs like this one. But there is also respect. The ocean does not forgive. It never has. Finally, they find it. A grainy image on the monitor shows the cable, damaged. A section is deformed. The steel armor is broken. The outer polyethylene torn. Probably the anchor of a cargo ship that dragged it unknowingly, without anyone on the surface realizing that they had just wounded one of the arteries of the world. Now comes the most artisanal part, the most frustrating, the fishing. From the ship, they release a grapnel, a kind of giant anchor with multiple hooks, which descends for hours to the bottom. The objective is to hook the cable, to be able to hoist it. It is a blind process, based on intuition, expertise, and an enormous dose of luck. There are no cameras on the grapnel. Only tension sensors. It is like fishing in the most absolute darkness, hoping to feel the pull. They try once. The grapnel returns empty. Again. Nothing. Time passes. The tension in the control room can be cut with a knife. Each failed attempt is hours lost, thousands of dollars burned in fuel, and a growing sense of helplessness. The men look at each other, but no one says anything. Silence is the only possible answer. Javier does not move from his seat. He observes, calculates, advises. He suggests changing the angle of approach, adjusting the ship's position. In his mind, there is no room for frustration, only for the problem. It is a duel between the most advanced technology and the brute force of the ocean. A pulse against the abyss. On the 7th attempt, the tension sensor indicates that they have hooked something. A murmur of relief runs through the room. The slow hoisting process begins. For hours, the ship's winches pull, recovering kilometers of cable and steel, until, finally, the damaged section emerges from the depths, dripping water from a dark and cold world. It brings with it the smell of the abyss, a smell of concentrated salt, of ancient life, of pressure and time. 4. The heart of the cable. On the ship's deck, the cable looks like a prehistoric sea serpent. A black polyethylene cylinder, a few centimeters in diameter, covered with algae, barnacles, and abyssal creatures that have never seen sunlight. It looks rough, industrial. It is hard to believe that this is the backbone of our digital world. The deck crew, with yellow helmets and soaked worksuits, secures the cable. The autopsy begins. With specialized tools, they cut the outer layers. An armor of braided steel wires, designed to resist abrasion and shark attacks. a copper conductor barrier, which feeds electricity to the signal repeaters every 100 kilometers, an aluminum sheath, a polycarbonate layer. Each layer is a defense against the incredible pressure and corrosion of the seabed, and in the center, protected like the heart of a dragon, a tiny core. Inside it, the fiber optic filaments, thin as a hair, fragile as glass. Through each of them, billions of light pulses per second travel, the raw material of our emails, our video calls, our banking transactions, our secrets, our declarations of love, our goodbyes. Now, Javier's real work begins. The splicing room is an immaculate container in the middle of the deck, a sterilized laboratory in the heart of the iron beast. Inside, there is no wind, no salt, no chaos, only silence, white light, and tools that look like they belong to a neurosurgeon. The temperature is controlled, the air filtered, a speck of dust, a drop of moisture, and all the work can be ruined. With mesmerizing precision, Javier strips the ends of the cable. He uses a microscope to align each fiber with its corresponding one in the new section of cable they are going to splice. Each fiber has a color, a code: blue, green, yellow, red. There is no margin for error. A misalignment of 1 micron, and the light will not pass. The world will remain broken at that point. His hands, hardened by years of working with metal and sea, move with astonishing delicacy. It is a dance of pliers, diamond cutters, and arc fusion splicers, which join the fibers with a small flash of light, welding the glass with heat. It is work that requires absolute concentration, a steady hand. For hours, Javier is not a man. He is an extension of his tools. He is the will that unites what the ocean has separated. Each splice takes between 20 and 30 minutes. There are 8 fibers in this cable. That means more than 4 hours of uninterrupted work, barely blinking without moving. His back hurts. His eyes burn. But he cannot stop. Outside, the world waits. Ghosts in the machine. While he works, isolated in his bubble of silence, Javier's mind travels. He thinks about the irony of his profession. He spends weeks in the most absolute isolation so that millions of people can feel connected. He is the guardian of global communication, but for months of the year, his only communication with his family is a brief text message via satellite, if the weather allows. Sometimes, not even that. He thinks about the millions of stories that flow through those fibers. Declarations of love sent at midnight, business discussions that move economies, photos of newborns shared with grandparents on the other side of the world, farewells to loved ones who will never see each other again. He does not see them, does not know them, but he feels the weight of all of them in his hands. He is the anonymous guardian of humanity's collective memory. Outside, the weather has worsened. A storm has unleashed over them. The ship rocks violently. The waves sweep the deck with primitive fury. The work, already delicate, becomes dangerous. A sudden movement, a wave strike, and all the work of hours could be lost. But the team does not stop. They are used to working on the edge of the knife, to deefing the ocean on its own terrain. Javier takes Sophia's drawing from his pocket. He looks at it for an instant. The sun, the house, the 3 smiling figures. A paper anchor in the middle of the storm. A reminder of why he does what he does. It is not for the money, although the salary is good. It is not for the adventure, although there is one. It is for that small world that waits for him on land. It is his way of building a future for his daughter, a connected future, full of possibilities, a future that travels through the cables he himself repairs. He thinks about all the times Sophia has used the internet without knowing it, to watch cartoons, to make video calls with her grandmother, to search for information for her school assignments, and he thinks that perhaps some of those connections passed through a cable he repaired, that his invisible hands touched, somehow, his own daughter's life. 6. The Splice. After almost 12 hours of uninterrupted work, the last splice is done. The cable is once again a continuous whole. Now comes the moment of truth. From the control room, they send a pulse of light through the repaired fiber. On the other end, thousands of kilometers away, at a ground station on the coast of Ireland, someone waits for that signal. The seconds become eternal. Javier holds his breath. And then, on the monitor, a green light flickers. The signal is perfect. The attenuation is within parameters. The connection is restored. A closed and virile applause resonates in the splicing room and on the bridge. There are no shouts of euphoria, only the deep and silent relief of a job well done. The world is connected again. Millions of people unknowingly recover a vital artery. At that precise moment, somewhere, someone sends an important email. A family reunites on a video call. A doctor accesses a medical record that saves a life. No one will give thanks. No one will know that in the middle of the Atlantic, a group of men has just won a battle against chaos. But they know. And that is enough. The cable, with its new scar, is returned to the ocean. Hector, the robotic submarine, accompanies it on its descent, making sure it settles correctly on the seabed, burying it again in oblivion. The wound has healed. The pulse of the world returns to normal. 7. The return. The return journey is different. The ship seems lighter, the crew more relaxed. The tension has disappeared, replaced by a quiet fatigue. 3 weeks have passed since Javier left his home. 3 weeks that, on land, are an eternity, but that at sea feel like a blink and a lifetime at the same time. Leaning on the deck railing, he watches the horizon. The sea, which has been his adversary, now seems like an old friend. The waves are softer, the sky bluer. He thinks about the paradox of his life. He is a man of the sea who connects continents, a modern nomad whose only anchor is his family, an anonymous hero in an invisible war. How many times has he done this? 100? 200? He has lost count. He has repaired cables in the Pacific, in the Indian Ocean, in the Mediterranean. He has seen storms that seemed like the end of the world, and calms so perfect that the sea and sky were a single mirror. He has spent more birthdays at sea than at home. He has missed school festivals, anniversaries, moments that will never return. The first time Sophia rode a bicycle without training wheels. Her first day of school. Christmases. Entire summers. It is the price of being a guardian. The price of a profession that exists in the shadows. Sometimes, in the solitude of the night, he wonders if it is worth it. If anyone ever will wonder who keeps the lights of this world on. But the doubt does not last long. It is enough for him to think about Sophia's drawing, about Elena's smile, and he knows that every nautical mile, every hour of work, every absence has a purpose. He also thinks about the others, about the thousands of men like him scattered across the world's oceans, splicers, engineers, sailors, all invisible, all essential, forming a human network as important as the network of cables they protect. 8. The invisible man comes home. When Javier opens the door of his house, the smell of salt and metal dissolves, replaced by the smell of home, of freshly brewed coffee, of the vanilla candles that Elena likes to light, of life. Sophia runs into his arms before he can even put down his suitcase. The embrace is an anchor that brings him back to reality, that grounds him back to earth. Elena kisses him, and in that kiss is the welcome, the relief, and the promise of a few days of normalcy. That night, the house is full of life. They have dinner together. Sophia does not stop talking. She tells him about her science exam, about the field trip to the museum, about the fight with her best friend that has already been reconciled. Javier listens, smiles, asks questions. He is present, completely present. Elena looks at him from across the table, and in her eyes there is a silent gratitude. She knows that these days are a gift, that soon the phone will ring again. Later, as he tucks Sophia in, she asks him, "Dad, what did you fix this time?" Javier smiles. He takes the drawing from his pocket, now a bit wrinkled, with salt stains on the corners, and shows it to her. "I fixed this," he tells her. "I fixed the path so that the stories I read to you on the internet can come from very far away. I fixed the path so you can talk to Grandma by video call. I fixed one of the veins of the world." Sophia looks at him with her big, curious eyes, and although she does not understand the magnitude of his words, she understands the importance. She understands that her father does something special, something that no one sees, but that is everywhere. "And will you leave again soon?" she asks in a small voice. Javier nods. He cannot lie to her. "Yes, sweetheart. But I will always come back. Always." Sophia hugs him one more time, and then falls asleep, with the drawing under her pillow Epilogue. The invisible guardians, the next time you send a message, watch a movie streaming, talk to someone on the other side of the world, stop for a second. Think about the depths of the ocean. Think about the darkness, the pressure, the cold. And think about men like Javier, the submarine cable splicers, the surgeons of the abyss, the silent guardians of our connected world, invisible heroes whose work is the stitching that holds together the fabric of our civilization. They do not ask for recognition. They do not seek applause. They only ask that from time to time, someone remembers that the magic of instant connection is not magic at all. It is the result of the courage, expertise, and sacrifice of a few men who dare to face the ocean so that we never feel alone. They are the veins of the world, and it is time we start to see them. My name is May, and this is where what you don't see becomes what you feel.